So that was the first of the brand new music on today's show. That was Hell Song from Collard. I'm probably mispronouncing his name awfully, but he is a brand new artist from London. And I should have brought my microphone all the way up. I will repeat what I was just saying. So that was the first of the brand new music on today's show. You're listening to OnLine here on Eden FM 107.5. And of course, that was a deliberate mistake of the show too. The name of that song is Hell Song, and the name of that artist is Collard. I think I'm mispronouncing his name, but there is a link to smooth over any damage that I have done. There is a link on my Twitter feed. If you want to find your way to my Twitter feed, that would be LJAY_TV, and you can find out a lot more about the show and a lot more about me through there. Or you can just find a link that will be on the Eden FM Twitter feed as well. So that will be Eden FM Radio. That's at Eden FM Radio. So we move on with the show. Up next, we're going to be listening to the Flaming Lips, but it does lead me to point out that on today's show we have an album in focus, as per usual. We usually do. So the album in focus for this week, it is a little bit of a strange album. We'll be telling you more about it in due course, but we'll be hearing 2 songs from that album. We'll also be talking to you about Gigglebite and a fascinating fact, if I do say so myself. So we'll be providing all of this information plus much, much more between now and all the way up till 8 o'clock. Thank you very much for joining me. I have been trying to solve a couple of the problems with streaming the show out online, so you can actually watch me here in the studio. Hello. At the moment we do have the camera switched off, but that's because I've just got it back up and running. Anyway, let's get on with the show. I said Flaming Lips next, and here is Yoshimi and the Battle of the Pink Flamingo, I think it is, something along those lines. No, Pink Robots, that's what it is. Couldn't remember. It's a great song anyway. I think I've fried my brain by having a couple of technical difficulties. Doesn't take much, does it?
She's a black belt in karate, working for the city. She has to discipline her body, 'cause she knows that it's demanding to defeat those evil machines. I know she can beat them. Oh, Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots eat me. Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots defeat me. Those evil-natured robots, they're programmed to destroy us. She's gotta be strong to fight them, so she's taking lots of vitamins, 'cause she knows that it'd be tragic if those evil robots win. I know she can beat them. Oh, Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots defeat me. Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots eat me. Yoshimi. 'Cause you know that it'd be tragic But you won't let those robots defeat me, Yoshimi. They don't believe me. But you won't let those robots defeat me, Yoshimi. They don't believe me. But you won't let those robots eat me, Yoshimi. They don't believe me. But you won't let those robots eat me, Yoshimi.
So that is the Flaming Lips with Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots. You're listening to Eden FM 107.5. This is online. We're going to take the first ad break of today's show, but we will be back with a fascinating fact, so it does pay off in the end. Stay tuned and don't go changing, because we love you just the way you are.
This is 107.5 Eden FM.
There's a lot more than posters at Penrith Posters. From a single photocopy through to wedding stationery, business printing, and of course, those posters. Penrith Posters is the place you need. Our design team will help with any project, bringing your vision to reality. Whether you need business cards, takeaway menus, leaflets, personal and business stationery, or printing your photographs onto canvas, call in and see us at Penrith Posters in Market Square.
LJ on Eden FM.
So we're back, and we've got a fascinating fact as well. Hello and welcome to Eden FM if you're just joining us, just in time for something fascinating, if I do say so myself. And delivered perfectly in time, hopefully. 30 minutes or less and it's free. Anyway, 1889, Queen Marguerite was the first person when started the craze of the pizza delivery. And of course, yes, she is also the one that the Margherita pizza is named after as well. I thought it was a fascinating fact. I'm sure you agree, and I have posted it up on the Twitter feed as well. I like to back up what it is I'm saying in print too, virtually at least anyway. So thank you very much for joining me here for online here on Eden FM 107.5. We've got plenty more still in store. Our album in focus, we'll be telling you more about that second studio album from our artist from this week. I'll be a little bit cagey about it still. And we've also got plenty of new things to be telling you about too. So we'll be telling you about the brand new games, we'll be looking at the tech news, and we'll also be looking for streaming news as well as gaming news. So the world of technology is covered in the news that I'm doing on today's show. And of course, we'll be talking to you about the brand new DVDs, so the new movies that are available in the shop. We move on to the Pixies with Debaser.
Dear
So it seems we've had a bit of a technical difficulty there. That was some of the Pixies there we've heard from just a little while ago. That was a debaser, but I do apologise for its abrupt stop. That's the word I'm seeking, and that's the one I'm going to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on with the show. We're going to hear our next song, which was already keyed up, and that was from the Doobie Brothers. And after we've heard from the Doobie Brothers, we're going to move to Neutral Milk Hotel and their second studio album, which is the album in focus for this week. So we'll be hearing two songs from the Aeroplane Over the Sea, I think is the name of the album. I can't see it right here in front of me. But well, as soon as the title gets a little too long, it starts to confuse me. Anyway, we're moving on to Wheels of Fortune, and I'm going to try and calm down. There's no need to panic. After all, the show must go on, whichever way it does. So thank you very much for staying with me here at Eden FM. I do apologise for any of the gremlins in the machine. I'm sure they're all gone now. Well, I'm trying to be sure. Here is Wheels of Fortune, the Doobie Brothers. But then I've already said that.
While you've been asleep, come on, give it up. You got what's coming to you. No use for you to struggle. Now you're in too deep. It's gonna be a long, long time before it's through. Changing wheels of fortune, driving us on and on. Winning, sometimes losing. As soon as it's here, it's gone. I'm so tired of losing, but I'd still play the game. And I know there's no reason till I go on searching. Just the same, that picture in your city, seen your vanity, Mr. Society. Can you hear me? You take your satisfaction and you cover all the action, but you loaded that won't help you in the end. And you can hear 'em calling, changing wheels of fortune, driving us on and on. Winning, sometimes losing. As soon as it's here, it's gone. So tired of losing, but I still play the game. And I know there's no reason, still I go on searching, just the same.
album in focus.
So yes, it's time for us to introduce you to an album in focus for this week. It may be an album that is already part of your collection, but I can highly recommend that you add it to your collection if it isn't already there. So the album in question for this week is In an Aeroplane Over the Sea. It is the second studio album from Neutral Milk Hotel, and you may not necessarily know the name of the band as well, as it wasn't an album that went straight into stardom. It was one of those slow burners, and it got lots of critical acclaim when it was eventually it ordered up some of that critical acclaim. It has been the inspiration for many artists throughout today's show, as well as throughout time, as for instance even the Pixies, one of the artists we've already heard from on today's show, was inspired by this band. This album was originally released in 1998, and it is recorded in Denver, Colorado of the United States of America. This has received a 5 out of 5 stars, so it's not just me who makes the decision that this is a good album. It is also in the greatest albums of all time lists, and it usually ranks fairly decently high, somewhere in the 50s, in the 50 range, depending on which decades are being considered for the list. Anyway, we move on with the show, and we move to the very first song. The title track from the album is actually where we're going to start off. The album is inspired, most of its lyrics is inspired by The Diary of Anne Frank. It is an excellent lo-fi indie album, and it should be in everyone's collection. Here is Neutral Milk Hotel with the title track from the album in focus for this week, which is In an Aeroplane Over the Sea. Here, have a listen and see what you think. Maybe you'll go out and maybe you'll dig out your copy, or maybe you'll go out and buy your copy. It's waiting for you.
What a beautiful face I have found in this place that is circling all around the sun. What a beautiful dream that could flash on the screen in a blink of an eye and be gone from me. Soft and sweet, let me hold it close and keep it here with me. And one day we will die, and our ashes will fly from the aeroplane over the sea. But for now we are young, let us lay in the sun and count every beautiful thing we can see. Love to be in the arms of all I'm keeping.
So that right there is the title track for the album in focus for this week. It was originally released in 1998 and it is entitled In an Aeroplane Over the Sea. It is from Neutral Milk Hotel. It is their second and final ever album. It is an album that has received lots of critical acclaim and also ends up in the greatest albums of all time lists on a regular basis. So don't just take my word for it. Go out and seek your copy too. There was one of these quotes that I wanted to read to you that it has been described as indie rock, psychedelic folk, and lo-fi with influences, and this is my favourite part, with influences from circus music, in Eastern European choral, free jazz, I just thought I'd point that out, and Tropicana? Not entirely sure what that is. Isn't that orange? Anyway, there was an interesting quote that I had to tell you about. As I say, this is the album in focus. We shall return to it once again later on in the show, but we do have an official link to address, and that will be now. The artwork and the illustrations of the artwork in particular was done by Brian Duan. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. He has worked with many artists, he's worked with many musicians and artists throughout his career, and one of them would be this very next band, and they might be giants. Little Birdhouse in Your Soul, anyone? Anyone? No?
By the light switch, who watches over you? Make a little birdhouse in your soul, not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. I have a secret to tell from my electrical well. It's a simple message and I'm leaving out the whistles and bells, so the room must listen to me. Filibuster vigilantly. My name is Blue Canary, one note spelled L-I-T-E. My story's infinite, like the Longines Symphony. It doesn't rest. Blue Canary in the outlet by the light switch, who watches over you? Make a little birdhouse in your soul, not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. Opposite me of my primitive ancestry, which stood on rocky shores and kept the beaches shipwreck free. Though I respect that a lot, I'd be fired if that were my job. After killing Jason off and countless screaming Argonauts, new bird of friendliness, like guardian angels, it's always near. New canary in the outlet by the light switch, who watches over you? Make a little birdhouse in your soul, not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. While you're at it, leave the night light on inside the birdhouse in your soul. Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. While you're at it, leave the night light on inside the birdhouse in your soul. Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. While you're at it, leave the night light on inside the birdhouse in your soul. Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul.
So just a little birdhouse in your soul. You're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and thank you very much for doing so, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, LJ, and this is OnLine. It is the 24th ever episode of OnLine here on Eden FM. And you make it all worthwhile just by attending. Don't worry about doing any of the heavy lifting. I'll get around to all of that, as we've got plenty of features on a Wednesday show. Something to take your mind off of the the working week, but I didn't want to point it out, and I ended up doing so. Oh well. So what are we up to next? Well, we've moved to our official link to the album in focus. That was provided by They Might Be Giants with Birdhouse in Your Soul, and that was connected via the artist for the album in focus. We'll be telling you more about that later on in the show. We move on, onward and upward. Up next, we're going to be listening to Ian Brown telling off quite a few people about their first world problems, as that's the name of this next track. But we've got brand new music to follow that, as well as before this hour is over, we have to talk to you about the brand new DVDs that are available in the shops for you to, or whichever way you get them, if you download them or anything like that. The new releases, that's the way I refer to them. Anyway, that's still to come in today's show. First, Ian Brown with First World Problems.
First world problems, where you're living is easy. Messing up your mind, the daily grind, gotta leave it all behind, driving everybody crazy. First world problem, where you're living is easy. Messing up your mind, the daily grind, gotta leave it all behind, driving everybody crazy. I'm an early riser, wake up, let the sun go to my head. Hey, just hypnotize you. Walking like your boots are made of lead. There you go again with your first world problem, when you're living is easy. Messing up your mind, the daily grind, gotta leave it all behind, driving everybody crazy. There you go again with your first world problem, when you're living is easy. Messing up your mind, the daily grind, gotta leave it all behind, driving everybody crazy. I'm an easy rider, watch me as I ride and glide away. Say, still might surprise you, disappear, come back another day. There you go again with your first world problem, where you're living is easy. Open your mouth and making sound, but there's nothing coming out, crying like a newborn baby. All is a distraction by design, a trick of smoke and mirrors to steal your mind. All is an illusion, my head in confusion, Codex Elementarian. There you go again with your first problems, where you're living is easy. crazy. There you go again with your first world problem. Where you living is easy. Opening your mouth and making sound, but there's nothing coming out. Driving everybody crazy. Driving everybody crazy. Driving everybody crazy. Hands and knees and bumps and daisy. Driving everybody crazy. How you get so lazy. Driving everybody crazy. Everybody crazy.
Ian Brown of the Stone Roses there with First World Problems. You're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and what have we got in store next? Well, we're going to be talking to you about the movies, as we talk to you about the new releases, what is available for you to have and to hold. So there is just three that I'd like to highlight each and every week. So this isn't all of the releases coming up, but it's just some of the ones that I think are worth taking note about. I'll be doing the same with gaming in the second hour, as we'll be talking about 4 games, so 1 extra than the movies, but we'll be talking about all of the consoles as well as a game for the PC too. So not that they're singled out, they're actually lumped in with the rest of them. That's the way I like to think of it. So we move to the movies. Not the cinema though. And it's a very rare blue moon, as for some reason I did not load up my instrumental, and it also doesn't seem to be playing the backup version either. I have been having a few technical issues here in the studio, so let's just talk to you about some movies. And I don't need someone in the background to do the da-da-da-da-da-da-da or anything like that. It's okay, I'll just talk to you about it. So we're starting off with Greta, and Greta has received a 5.7 from us, so keep that in mind if you want to go out and spend your hard-earned cash on Greta. It is rated at 15, and it is a story about a young woman's relationship with a widowed piano teacher which takes a sinister turn. So it's more of a thriller. Keep that in mind, and there will be a link to these movies and their trailers available on my Twitter feed, which I have mentioned already is LJAY_TV. So if you want to find me in particular, that will be a good way. Give a share and a like to any of these new options that may take your fancy, is what I would suggest you do so. Moving on, and the music in the background, you may have noticed, does help to shiver me on. So I am taking my sweet merry time. We move to a vigilante. Sorry, let's get that right. A vigilante is a thriller in which a woman seeks to revenge a victim of domestic violence. This is received a 15 certificate and has also got a rating score from us at 7.8. Not the highest of this week, but it has received a 7.0. So that would be not the highest. The Last Days of the City is a fictional film maker from downtown Cicero tries to capture the soul of the city whilst he faces the loss of his own life. It's not yet rated, so you may have to find out more about this one in particular, as the information is a little bit sketchy on the ground for me at the moment. But I thought it was definitely one worth pointing out to you as well. So, unfortunately, no backing music for us there, but we do move on to brand new music for you next. So, up next, we have, which one is it? It is a Liverpool band. It is, the name of the song is Keep Dancing, and the name of the band is Spin. And we'll spin the record, you have a listen and see what you think of this brand new music here on Eden FM.
to ignore. See uncertainty about it, that makes me certain I'm wasting my time. And on the surface I'm pretending to be better, hey, as long as you look fine. And when I thought myself was sure of someone else, and when I thought myself, so keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing now how I feel. So keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing now how I feel. I swear I lost myself with all of this talk, because it's all been said, it's all been said before. And we can go around in circles, we can go around in circles again. And at the end of this all, I'm worried if I'll even still have my friends. And when I thought myself was sure of someone else, and when I thought myself, so keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing now how I feel. So keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing now how I feel. And when I thought myself I was someone else, and when I thought myself I was someone, so keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing. So keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing. So keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing now how I feel. So keep dancing, keep on dancing, I keep dancing now how I feel.
So that was entitled Keep Dancing. It's by a Liverpool band whose name is Spin. I don't know much more about them than that. I like to let the music do most of the talking. There is a link for the band on my Twitter feed. If you want to find out more about them, then that could be your first port of call. Do give a like, a share, a follow. It does bring warmth to the heart. Not just mine, others too. I'm sure about that. I'm 100% positive. So what are we up to? We've got possibly 2 more songs left on this first hour of the show, but yes, it's the halfway point is approaching us very shortly. So we've got the second hour of the show coming up, where we'll be talking about all sorts of things. We'll be talking to you about games, tech news, streaming news, but I've got to get on with it, and I want to listen. I want to share with you, and I also want to listen to Upstairs, Downstairs from Graham Goulburn.
Upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs every night. There's a boy listening to his radio, downstairs just one flight. A girl waits patiently, downstairs every night. Sits a girl listening from the floor below, upstairs just one flight. The boy waits patiently, each one knowing that the other is there, each one hoping that the other will dare to climb the first stair. downstairs, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs in the night. The boy is crying from the room below. He goes down one flight and dries her tearful eyes. Upstairs every night, all is quiet in the room above. Downstairs just one flight, there's nothing to be said. Now only girl and boy have met. The upstairs room is advertised to let. Now these two have met. Upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs.
So that was the second to last song on today's first hour of the show. So that was Upstairs, Downstairs from Graham Gouldman, and we just finished with a French song, which I was going to try and pronounce the title of, but I'm chickening out as I'm running out of time. Join me after the news and weather that you'll find at the top of the hour for a whole second hour of the show with plenty of fun. You may recognise this, it is basically Chick Habit. Hang up the Chick Habit.
Laisse tomber les filles, laisse tomber les filles, un jour c'est toi qu'on laissera. Laisse tomber les filles, laisse tomber les filles, un jour c'est toi qui pleureras. Oui, j'ai pleuré, mais ce jour-là, non, je ne pleurerai pas, non, je ne pleurerai pas. Je dirai c'est bien fait pour toi, je dirai ça t'apprendra, je dirai ça t'apprendra. Laisse tomber les filles, ça te jouera un mauvais tour. Laisse tomber les filles, tu le paieras un de ces jours. On ne joue pas impunément avec un cœur innocent, avec un cœur innocent. Tu verras ce que je ressens avant qu'il ne soit longtemps, avant qu'il ne soit longtemps. La chance abandonne celui qui ne sait que laisser des cœurs blessés. Tu n'auras personne pour te consoler, tu ne leur as pas volé. Laisse tomber les filles, un jour c'est toi qu'on laissera. Laisse tomber les filles, un jour c'est toi qui pleureras. Non, pour te plaindre il n'y aura personne d'autre que toi, personne d'autre que toi. Alors tu te rappelleras tout ce que je te dis là, tout ce que je te dis là. Alors tu te rappelleras tout ce que je te dis là, tout ce que je te dis là. Alors tu te rappelleras tout ce que je te dis là, tout ce que je te dis là.
On the air and online at edenfm.co.uk. This is 107.5 Eden FM. Eden FM weather with Worldwide Travel of Penrith. We can't promise you the weather, but we can promise you the best experience in booking a holiday. Call Worldwide Travel now on Penrith 865 918.
So here's your weather outlook for Wednesday the 5th of June. It's not like summer weather, I'll say that. Temperatures, we're looking at possibly a high of 15, maybe 16 degrees. Could start off with some showers, there will be some sunshine around. Also, there will be that moderate breeze through the day, and there will be a lot of cloud around. So it could go either way, but we're hoping by tea time the weather should start to calm down a bit, and we should see a lot more sun, less cloud, and no rain. So that's your weather outlook for Wednesday the 5th of June here on Eden FM.
Eden FM.
So yes, my technical difficulties have not quite finished here in the studio. I am still having quite a few issues here, so hopefully I can get them all resolved and we can be back on the road with no problems. So what is it? You're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and this would be the instrumental music.
LJ on Eden FM.
So, I'd like to teach the world to sing. I was saying it earlier on. I'd like to teach the world to sing, but there's too many songs to choose from. So, what can you do? Instead, I'll do a show here on Eden FM, Hello Ladies, Gents and Other, which is what I was going to say in the first hour of the show. But I think anxiety always gets the better of me, and I'm not entirely sure what it is I say at the beginning of any show. So, hello and welcome to OnLine. This is the 24th ever episode of OnLine here on Eden FM 107.5. I'm your host as ever. I am LJ between the hours of 6 and 8. I'm here on a Wednesday, also at the same time slot on a Friday show. But I'll remind you about that before I leave for today. We're going to start off this second hour without pointing out any of the glitches. But we're going to move on to Sleeper with In-Betweener as the first song of this second hour of the show. There is still plenty of features to come as we return to our album in focus, which is In an Aeroplane Over the Sea, the second studio album from Neutral Milk Hotel. We'll be telling you more about that album in due course. We've got brand new games to be pointing out that is available in the shops, so we'll highlight 4 of those for this hour, as well as a Remembering Retro. We look back to the games of yesteryear that have brought us to this gaming utopia that we live in nowadays, with so many options. Yes, anyway, we'll be talking about that, streaming, and also tech news. There's plenty of features in a second hour of the show. So much so that I probably shouldn't be taking it too easy and relaxing. On with the show.
Shopping for kickstart the weekend to get through. She's keeping the rain off her Saturday hairdo. She stops for a coffee. She smiles at the waiter. He winks at his friends and they laugh at her later. He's cleaning the car on his pebble dash driveway. New shiny leather he got for his birthday. He reads Harold Robbins. He flirts with his neighbor. Ignores her at breakfast. He's reading the paper. He dreams of a roller. She dreams of a fast getaway. He's not a prince. He's not a king. She's not a work of art or anything. It makes no sense. And neither you. What kind of rate to set will get you here? It's nothing special. She's not too smart. His style is fashion. She studies art. I think I told you right from the start. You were just my in-between. Just my in-between. You're such an in-betweener. He went to the Dream Boys, got tickets for Keith Bells, cancelled his lifelong subscription to Penthouse. She goes round the corner, she sees Harry Conway. She says to herself that she'll meet him on Monday. He dreams of a roller, she dreams of a fast getaway. He's not a prince, he's not a king. She's not a work of art or anything. It makes no sense. Another year, what kind of age is smart. He studies fashion, she studies art. I think I told you right from the start. You're just my in-between, just my in-between. He's not a prince, he's not a king. She's not a work of art or anything. It makes no sense, another year. What kind of age is that will get you here? He's nothing special, she's not too smart. He doesn't listen, she doesn't laugh. I think I told you right from the start. Now it's much too late to ask me where I've been. You were just my in-between.
So I wasn't quite ready because I was looking for my glasses. But anyway, I found my glasses now and I can turn the camera back on. So what are we up to? What are we up to? That was the first song of the second hour of today's show. You're listening to Online here on Eden FM 107.5. We are broadcast live from Penrith across the Eden Valley and even further via the help of the internet. So if you want to find out more about us here at Eden FM, then make your way to www.edenfm.co.uk. There is also social media pages where there is plenty of information to be had there. So if you find your way that far, and you can find the link for me too, then maybe you will be able to find out all the information I post during the show, as there is some things I talk about just before they happen and some things I talk about just after they've happened. So you'll have to catch me on the Twitter feed to find out about that. We move back to the charts of yesteryear, as a matter of fact with the very same week as we did in the first hour, as we were talking about the Beautiful South's cover of Everybody's Talking. Well, we move to another cover. Yes, we go to another cover. The first cover was from 1966, and that was Fred Neil, I believe, and that was 1966, where we were talking about Everybody's Talking. This one is an older cover, and it is from 1958, and it is Guns N' Roses are the ones who have covered this version, or is their version here anyway. So yes, originally from 1958, but also from 1994, entering the charts for Guns N' Roses. In at number 22 was Since I Don't Have You. So I fade down the song and I throw my hands up in the air and I apologise because I thought that was the radio cleared aired version. So I do apologise, there was some bad language in there, but that was never my intention. It was Axl Rose's intention, so I'm going to try and blame it all on him. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. We will move on with the show. If you can forgive me, then maybe you'll stick around too. So up next, we've got some brand new music for you. This is from a Japanese three-piece band, and they are entitled The Thin, and the name of the song is Come Further. So here, have a listen. Brand new music to hopefully smooth the ground from my bad mistake a moment ago. I do apologise. Humbly, 1,000 apologies. Is that enough? Double it. Brand new music here. Come Further. So that was the third instalment of the brand new music on today's show. That was The Thin, and the name of that song is Come Further. They are a three-piece band from Japan, and there is not more information than I'm going to provide on today's show, but there is plenty more information to be had. I have got a link to that band on my Twitter feed, so you can follow the little breadcrumb trail I have left. Not that it's easy for me to say. I can do it like that though. Anyway, we move back to the charts of yesteryear for our very next song, and it's really to smooth the ground, as we've had a little bit of an issue with one of the songs I played a moment ago. I'm sure no one can remember that. We move back to the charts of 1964, where it will probably be nice and safe, with no bad language at all, at least not from this excellent artist indeed, and there is no argument to be had at all. This is one of the greatest artists of all time. Here is Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, with Hello Dolly.
Hello, Dolly, this is Louis. Dolly, it's so nice to have you back where you belong. You lookin' swell, Dolly, I can tell, Dolly. You still glowing, you still growing, you still going strong. I feel the room sway, but the band's playing one of our old favorite songs from way back when. So take a rap, fellas, find her an empty lap, fellas. Dolly, never go away again.
Hello Dolly from Louis Armstrong, or Satchmo, as he was often referred to as. We're going to take the first break. We're going to take the second break of today's show, I think it is. We're going to take a break, that's my main point, but we'll be back in just a moment. We're going to move, we are going to move from Louis Armstrong to Jane's Addiction. Yes, because everybody else does, so why not? So we'll be back in just a moment with some Jane's Addiction, but also some tech news stories, streaming news stories, and game news stories. So stay tuned for all of that. We'll be telling you about the new releases as well as remembering games of yesteryear as we look back to remembering retro.
LJ on Eden FM.
Calling all brides to be. Wedding days can be so expensive, but we want you to look your best on your special day. We're Finesse Bridal Services, with over 300 dresses, veils, tiaras and accessories. The largest selection of pre-loved wedding dresses, including designer, traditional, current and vintage styles for all seasons. Visit our new showrooms in Middlegate, Penrith, or log on to our Facebook page for ideas and inspiration. It's your special day. You don't have to break the bank to look $1 million. Finesse Bridal.
Your community station. Your 107.5 Eden FM.
So we'll get the gaming tech news story out of the way as Gigabyte. It's a firm feature of Gigabyte is the tech news, and we'll be talking to you about some of Gigabyte throughout the show as we split it up into several different segments. So we'll start off with the gaming, and this is all about, do you remember that egg-shaped plastic pet? Yes, the Tamagotchi. Well, the Tamagotchi is making a return once again, because this isn't the first time that they've tried to revamp this egg-shaped game from yesteryear, but this time it will have more features to it, so I thought I had to point it out, and also it has its nostalgia element to it that forced my hand to take another look in this direction. So Bandai have upgraded the virtual pets by releasing color versions, so the screen itself is color, and the versions where you can now go to different lands. You can also get married, you can have little ones, along with the abilities to eat, sleep, and of course, don't forget, there is the regular version. From the original and regular version, there is the ability still to die in a forgotten drawer somewhere. That is what the Tamagotchi was all about, really, wasn't it? You spend a few weeks dedicated to the life of this virtual pet, and then you can't remember where you left it. Anyway, we've got more tech news stories coming up on today's show. Stay put. We've got Jane's Addiction, as promised, up next. Or at least that's what Jane says. Every pun intended. And I do not apologise. I sort of do.
Jane says, I'm done with Sergio. Treat me like a rag doll. She hides the television. Said I don't know him nothing about it. Will he come back again? Tell him, wait right here for me. Oh, try again tomorrow. I'm gonna kick tomorrow. I'm gonna kick tomorrow. Jane says, have you seen my wig around? I feel naked without it. She knows they all want her to go. But that's okay, man, she don't like them anyway. Jane says I'm going away to Spain, where to get my money saved.
So that's Jane's Addiction with Jane Said. You're listening to Eden FM 107.5, and thank you very much for doing so, ladies and gentlemen. This is OnLine, and I am your host, LJ. Each and every Wednesday between the hours of 6 and 8. I do like that time slot, as I take that time slot on Friday as well, so you can join me on both days between the hours of 6 and 8. And of course, they're very different shows indeed, except for there is a few obvious links I do like to point out throughout the shows. Anyway, what are we up to next? Well, we've got another song between us and the album in focus. The album in focus for this week is In an Aeroplane Above the Sea is the name of the album. It is the second and final studio album from the band in question. We'll be telling you more about it very shortly. But as I say, there is one more song between us and that. There is still more brand new music on today's show. Yes, time is running out, but we've still got more brand new music to share with you. We've still got the new games to talk to you about, as well as remembering a game from yesteryear, a champion of the arcade or home console, whichever way you want to look at it. It's just a good phrase to say. We move to Dinosaur Jr. with Feel the Pain. There we go.
Weather album in focus.
So, the album in focus. For this week, we are taking a closer look at the second studio album from Neutral Milk Hotel, which was released back in I'm bringing the wrong fader down, that's why the music's not getting any quieter. Which was originally released back in 1998. May of 1998 would see its release on these very shores, the shores of Great Britain. So this is an excellent album, not just my opinion. All Music, which is where I like to check my ratings against, has rated it at a 5 out of 5 star rating. So yeah, basically you can't get much better than that, can you? This is an excellent album. There is much to talk about on this album, let alone even the people that it has inspired, the band has inspired throughout the years. So the Decemberists we could talk about, as well as we were mentioning one in the first hour that I wanted to re-mention now, but I can't remember who that was. Oh well, the Pixies, that's what it was, the Pixies as well. So yes, this is a brilliant album. I highly recommend that you add to your collection. It was the last studio album from the band, and we moved to Two-Headed Boy. Most of the lyrics, or if not all of the lyrics on this album, has been inspired by the Diary of Anne Frank. So it is definitely saying it has a political point to make as well. But it is a beautiful album, not just from its record cover as well. But we were talking about that as our official link today. Alright, I've got plenty to get on with, and here is Two-Headed Boy, the second installment for the album in focus for today's show.
Two-headed boy, all floating in glass. The sun, it is past, now it's blacker than black. I can hear as you tap on your jar. that you need is wrapped in gold, silver sleeves left beneath Christmas trees in the snow. And I will take you and leave you alone, watching spirals of white softly flow over your eyelids, and all you did will wait until the point when you let go.
It's a very abrupt end to that song, as because most of the songs move into each other on the album In Focus for this week. So it's Neutral Milk Hotels in an Aeroplane Above the Sea is the album we're talking about. It is the second studio album from the band and also the final album from the band, as Magum, I'm never really sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but then I do like to point out before it points itself out that I am dyslexic, and I do try anyway. I don't let that hold me back. I do try anyway. If it's worth doing, it's not going to be easy anyway. So what are we talking about? Yeah, so the Jeff Mangum had disappeared from public eye after the touring of this album, and also claimed that he was tired of performing as well as having to explain his lyrics. So that was one of the main reasons why it saw an end to this band and their touring and any further releases. I was going to point out to you another fact about it, and that was connected to Arcade Fire. So Arcade Fire's frontman Win Butler states that the album is the reason that he chose Merge Records to sign to. So because of this album, Arcade Fire signed to Merge. Easy for you to say, LJ. Yes, it is. We move on to a band from Norway, although I'm not entirely sure if it's just an artist, because the way that it's written. So anyway, the name of this artist / band is Aura the Morsel, the Monoscule, or Aura the Monoscule. Anyway, the name of the song is Cup. There is 3 members in the band, so I'm assuming it must be a band and not just a band that supports the front lady named Aura. I don't know. I don't know much about the band. I do know the name of the song is The Cup, and I do know that they are from Norway. There are links posted about their new song and towards their Twitter feed. Make your way there if you like this next song. Give them a like, give them a follow, give them whatever you like. I'm not going to dictate. This is The Cup. Have a listen, see what you think.
turns into desert dry air. And sand everywhere.
So, we've just heard some brand new music. That was from Aura, the Molecule. I'm probably not pronouncing that very correctly, but they are a three-piece band from Norway, and if you want to find out more about them, there is plenty more information to be had, as I couldn't be much more vaguer than I have been so far. And when I say vaguer, I don't mean the computer game, the Streets of Rage character. No, Street Fighter. Anyway, I'm getting off track. We're moving back to Gigabyte, which is the reason why I talk about computer gaming now as well. Because up next we're talking about streaming and tech news, and then I've got the brand new games as well as remembering retro to get around to as well. So there's plenty more features still to come. A widely condemned YouTuber, so called Ren, who has tricked a homeless man in Barcelona into eating an Oreo biscuit filled with toothpaste, has been told to pay £17,700 to his victim, and has been given a 15-month jail sentence, and the video has earned him €2,000 in advertising. He must also down his YouTube channel and also has been given a ban for the next 5 years of publishing videos online, which I thought was a fascinating fact. I'm sure you'll agree. But it was also a news story, so that's the thing that it basically had to cover. So, super gentle robots who can pick raspberries have started, field trials, yes, every pun intended, and this is on a farm in England, so not very far away at all, just thought I'd point that out, and they are, it is very little and slow now, but eventually it will merge where it will pick fruit faster than a human being. I think that's the main case that I'm trying to point out here. Basically, the robots are taking over, and that's what I wanted to point out. That was the other news story. They are taking over on these shores already. They're not going to be invading. They're already here. So on with the show, as I've still got plenty to get around to. We're going to hear one more song between us and the next instalment of Gigabyte, and that will be from the Lemonheads with It's a Shame About Ray. We're talking about brand new games and old games very shortly. Not very much time left together.
I've never been too good with names.
So I will try my best to not talk at a million miles an hour, but we do have 4 games to talk to you about. Well, actually 5 games technically to talk to you about, but 4 of them are brand new. So let's get straight into it and talk to you about Blood and Truth. This is a virtual reality game, so the headset would be required if you also own a PlayStation 4. I believe this is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. Blood and Truth is a truly cinematic journey throughout modern day London. If you want to find out more about this one, I would highly recommend you do so, as it has a high rating of 8.0, so very high indeed. So that is the highlight for the PlayStation 4 for this week. We move on to the Xbox. Of course, do remember some of these games may be available on other platforms, but these are the platforms that I highlight them on for me, so that I know that I've definitely talked about each of the consoles as well as one game for the PC. So it's the sequel to Layers of Fear, and of course you probably may have already guessed what they were going to call it, Layers of Fear 2. It has received a 6.5 rating, but then the original did get a middle of the road rating. It is a first-person psychological horror with a lot of exploration. So be warned, it's not all what it seems to be. So Layers of Fear 2 is available on the Xbox as well as other platforms too. I know that for that one in particular. The Switch, we talk about Crystal Crisis. Apparently it's the last word in color matching puzzle battle throwdowns. So if you want to find out more, it is the second to top pick for this week, as it has an 8.2 rating. Keep that in mind before you part with your hard-earned cash. And we talk about the racing simulator, so that is Astro Corsa. I'm probably not going to pronounce that last word anyway. Anyway, it's available on the PC. It has a rating of 8.7, and it is the official GT series. So if you want to find out more about this, it has already had many games out from the catalogue, I believe. So I'm sure there's plenty of information to be had. That's all of the games, all of the new games we want to talk to you about on today's show. We still have to remember retro, but I won't give you up quite yet. We've got plenty to get around to and very little time to do so. So we'll hear from Tom Tom Club with Won't Give You Up. Every pun intended.
There was a time I'd take a chance, make love to you. Those were the days, the fearless days, when love was new.
So we return to the last instalment of Gigabyte for Remembering Retro just before the show is over. So Remembering Retro for this week is Mega Man. So do you remember the classic Mega Man, originally released on the 13th of December 1989 for the Nintendo Entertainment Series, or the NES as it was often referred to. Originally he was entitled Rocket Man, so I wonder if that's a nod to Elton John. I don't know, but that was what he was originally titled in Japan, and the president of the United States of America, not the actual president, but of the division of the for the game, they decided they didn't like the look or the name of the man, so they changed it from Rocket Man to Mega Man. Do you remember this game fondly? Well, I imagine not really, because it's one of the most impossible games of all time. Still, a truly loved gem from yesteryear. Do you remember Retro? If you do, you're showing your years. Don't tell me, because then you won't actually be showing them. So we move on to the last song of today's show, which leads me to say, please join me once again, as I will be back here on Eden FM on Friday for the same time slot. We leave you with the Magnetic Fields and the Book of Love. Stay tuned to Eden FM as the folk show is up next.
The book of love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing. It's full of charts and facts and figures and instructions for dancing. But I love it when you read to me, and you can read me anything.
Yes, I'm going to slightly fade and say thank you very much for joining me. Take care. Until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, do be lucky.
Has music in it. In fact, that's where music comes from. Some of it is just transcendental. Some of it is just really dumb. But I love it when you sing to me. You can sing me anything. The book of love is long and boring, and written very long ago. It's full of flowers and heart-shaped boxes and things we're all too young to know. But I love it when you give me things, and you
On the air and online at edenfm.co.uk. This is 107.5 Eden FM. Eden FM weather with Worldwide Travel of Penrith. We can't promise you the weather, but we can promise you the best experience in booking a holiday. Call Worldwide Travel now on Penrith 865 918.
So here's your weather outlook for Wednesday the 5th of June. It's not like summer weather, I'll say that. Temperatures, we're looking at possibly high of 15, maybe 16 degrees. Could start off with some showers, there will be some sunshine around. Also, there will be that moderate breeze through the day, and there will be a lot of cloud around, so it could go either way. But we're hoping by tea time the weather should start to calm down a bit, and we should see a lot more sun, less cloud, and no rain. So that's your weather outlook for Wednesday the 5th of June here on Eden FM.
Live from Penrith, this is your community radio station. It's 107.5 Eden FM.
Won't you come on in? Won't you come sit down? It's been too long since I've got a song or two I want to sing with you. Won't you come?